If you're someone who was quietly enjoying their business flight and learned the plane was going to crash, of course, you'd be scared to death. Well, luckily for our protagonist, a goddess from another world offers him to save his life. The catch? He must defeat the evil god in her world. This is the story of how an ordinary businessman reincarnates as a fat prince, goes from zero to hero with his Sigma Rizz, and summons 3 legendary monsters. A fat ass wakes up in the middle of nowhere. He tries to activate his spells, but they all fail. Nothing is going in the fatty's favor, because he's literally falling from the sky and about to turn to paste. The fatty fails to understand how he's supposed to defeat the evil god in such a sorry condition. We're shown a sequence of what happened before he ended up in a shitty position. A businessman was happily returning to his home country, Japan. There, he met a friendly little girl, and then something happened. It felt as if time had stopped for him, but a penetrating voice called out to the man. He questioned his senses until he realized he wasn't crazy for shit, as there was a real woman calling out to him. The man thought he was dead, but he turned out to be wrong. The woman reads his thoughts and explains that all of the passengers on the plane are about to get yeeted into heaven because they will all die. The goddess finally introduces herself as an overseer of another world. She received permission from Earth's god to summon a hero that happens to be this Edith. The clumsy goddess requests him to defeat the evil god sealed in her dungeon. The man immediately refuses, because that's not worth you clapping cheeks for. The goddess is shocked that this dude is willing to accept death instead of defeating an evil god. The man thinks he's done enough in his life, and he's definitely not in the mood to get his ass beat black and blue by a level 1000 Dark Souls boss. The goddess turns out to be a whiny mess, acting like a child as she begs him to defeat the evil god. She offers him the chance to save one more person on the plane, as long as the man reincarnates into her world to defeat the evil god. Suddenly, the situation has shifted. The man no longer thinks about his own life and proceeds to accept her request to save the poor girl. If that isn't a W protagonist, I don't know what is. The goddess can't risk him saying no, because her world will straight up get obliterated by the evil god. The dude also learns that only his memories and soul will be reincarnated instead of his body. Before his death, he phones his sister for an important call, telling her that he's leaving his savings and insurance wealth in her hands. His sister obviously thinks he's pulling some fricked up prank. After wrapping up the phone call, he proceeds to help strap the girl around his body. Now, it looks crazy to the other passengers. The tiny gremlin cries out of fear, but our boy promises that he'll make sure she returns home safely, saying that the dude jumps out of the aircraft, scared out of his life. And that's how we've reached this point. After the jump, he became a fatty in another world, begging for his life to be saved. Thankfully, a dragon appears underneath and saves him. The next thing he remembers is waking up in a bedroom. Not only did he go through a massive glow down, but he also got an aching headache. Suddenly, the horror of the goddess' words comes to life as he realizes he's inhabiting the body of another person in this world. The fatty whose body he's inhabiting is called Luke. Luke confuses someone for his father and later learns that he's been cuffed with magic braces to prevent him from using magic. Luke is supposed to be a naughty, arrogant, and spoiled prince of a great country. He's literally called the Orc Prince because of how fat and useless he is. The man thinks he got played by reincarnating in such a shitty body. He also thinks the original Luke must have died in the same accident. His father rages at him as the boy naively inquires about the purpose of the magic braces. His father shouts at him for misbehaving all the time, but Luke is more concerned as to what happened with the badass dragon that saved him. His father tells him that the beast has died at the cost of his life. That dragon was a cherished memory of Luke, who took care of Luke since he was a little boy. Luke's emotions intervene as he cries as anyone would after losing such a pet. Luke settles himself and gets an overview of his situation. He's been reincarnated as a noble 15-year-old prince, but he's also the worst student in class. The only thing this dude has is his chummy noble status, making him act like an elite. The accident occurred during the exams. The king had come to observe the writing test. Luke grows arrogant and tries to make a cool show of his dragon, but in a twist of fate, he ends up falling to his doom. He remembers the goddess granting him a set of 3 abilities upon reincarnation: the power of appraisal, search, and storage, aka the typical isekai protagonist cliché powers. Luke requested another power called the eye navigation, because he's a fancy gamer like that. Unfortunately, he's unable to use any of those powers because of his magic sealing bracelets. Luke's mother roars at him for causing his family to worry. Luke's sister Chihiru is glad that he's okay, but his mother requires him to take certain measures as he's freshly lost his dragon. Luke can't enter the academy as a result. Later, Luke meets another visitor. The girl Lulu is a 16-year-old who got engaged to Luke because of their family's relationship. Lulu was worried sick about the boy, but a bombshell drops on his head when he learns that his happy engagement is no longer up in the air. Luke bursts out in shock, questioning what she means. Lulu confirms that the king himself broke the engagement because of the boy's reckless behavior without saying much else. Luke thinks he has shamed Lulu's status because of his foolish actions. He apologizes, but at the same time understands Lulu's situation. Lulu is pissed that Luke is accepting to break off the engagement. The fatty even calls himself an orc prince just to prove that he's not worth the risk. Lulu doesn't take his remark lightly and races off, leaving Luke shocked and confused. He wasn't expecting her to like him this much. Chihiro slaps this idiot across the face for handling that in the worst way possible. Luke cries because he just got destroyed by 2 women in one day. I think that's a safe calling for this guy to start hitting the gym. Anyway, the following day, Luke is upset about the situation with Lulu. It's not helping that his body's original emotions are making him feel crap about it too. Luke comprehends the goddess' intentions in making him reincarnate as a prince, as having resources would be crucial to defeating the evil god. Luke decides to take my advice and hit the gym, motivated to defeat the evil god and fulfill his mission. Later, during the family meal, Luke is still annoyed, thinking about the goddess who made him reincarnate as a fat pig. She's the goddess of water, Nereid, who governs the world. 10 days after getting dumped by both his sister and his fiancé, Luke's getting no play. The fatty has been hard at work pumping those weights to lose muscle. The king, or Luke's father, is here to tell the boy. Luke is prepared to accept any punishment that comes his way. His father emphasizes the gravity of the situation, as not only did he lose his valuable dragon, but he also got expelled from the academy. In order to replace his failures, Luke's father had been preparing him to join the Magic Academy instead. The only problem is that this boy's academic scores are lower than the depths of the ocean. The king ended up facing incredible embarrassment because of his son. Pro tip: never be like Luke. Pro tip 2: always listen to pro tip 1. Luke thinks it's understandable, considering the fact that he had an expensive tutor and still failed his dumb ass. With only one option left, Luke was forced to enter the Knights Academy, but it's going to be an agonizing journey for the fatty. Luke's father catches note of the boy's impressive attempt to lose weight. However, he still thinks Luke is about to get destroyed in the academy. His father shouts at the boy for maintaining his disgraceful behavior and bringing him home. With nowhere left to go, the king was forced to consult his cabinet minister, who suggested making the boy the husband of someone in another kingdom. Luke is stumped to hear such words. 1 second ago, he was a bitch less virgin, and suddenly, his father was out here setting him up for the game. Luke finally learns that this is why his father broke off his engagement. Luke isn't having it because he was summoned to beat an evil god, instead of clapping cheeks. His father tries to reason with the boy about the duties of a husband. Luke is to become part of Duke Forest's family in the Forel kingdom. He has 3 daughters, and he's looking for someone's hand in marriage for the eldest daughter. Luke is going to attend the academy in that kingdom, and she also goes to the same school. Then, he will get married, and the birds and the bees will follow. Luke hates the fact that his engagement was called off, just for his father's personal desires. The king has decided to punish the boy for his reckless behavior, and claims that the Forel kingdom may be small, but they require blood from superior noble families to maintain their royalty. Since they're looking for a high-ranking noble son, his father is using it as a crutch to send away his foolish child. Luke smartly deduces his father's intentions. He gives it a thought and actually prefers the idea of leaving the country so that he doesn't get supervised by his father. Luke's father straight up tells him he's getting yeeted out of the country by tomorrow morning. Luke tries to gather information about his fiancée, but his father knows absolutely nothing about the chick, leaving Luke to conduct all of the research himself. Luke gets suspicious of his father's words and requests that his magic braces be taken off. His father immediately declines the request, claiming that it will only happen when he arrives at the kingdom of Forel. Luke's family has even received 100 million as dowry from the treasury. His father tells him to just buy whatever he wants, because he just can't be bothered to act responsibly. The first prince of the family, Yale, is rebellious about his father's decisions. He doesn't comprehend how it's reasonable for Luke to go to such lengths. Yale is told to play the part of an escort, as his dragon would travel faster than a typical carriage. But Luke knows that Yale is meant to keep him tied down if Luke ever tries to run away. They board the dragon, and Luke can't escape the feeling that he's just gotten abandoned in this situation. Yale plays the role of a considerate older brother and recommends that Luke work hard. On the way to the Forel kingdom, Yale and Luke are welcomed by the guards in the bordering territory. Yale has to return at once so he doesn't waste much time. He's about to leave with his dragon when a cute flower girl stops Luke and asks him to buy some flowers. The guard shuns the girl from speaking to a prince of royalty. Luke is kind enough to offer the girl a gold coin for just a few flowers. She gets startled and thanks him as the money would help her mother's recovery. Luke is intrigued and asks about her mother. Yale, being the kind brother, hands her a potion of healing to help the girl. They're both kind and resume their journey after helping her. Yale tells him that he wants to maintain a safe journey for Luke, so he intentionally avoids saving a carriage being attacked by bandits. However, Luke observes that the carriage carries a royal symbol. As responsible members of the royalty, Yale and Luke hurry to help them at once. Luke begs for his brother to help take off the bracelet. Yale doesn't want to waste much time and frees his brother. Luke is immediately greeted by the AI voice assistant in his head, telling him to check his status. Luke is bombarded with a bunch of information that he really doesn't know how to handle. Presently, his status is weak as hell, and his stats are the worst. He's basically a level 1 Goonie, who'll die after a single hit. Luke observes his inventory and finds a bunch of medicine inside. He wonders if he can support Yale using his abilities. Yale enters the fight, descending with his dragon and attacking with a wind cutter slash. The bandits are alarmed, questioning why such a beastly dragon is here to kick their asses. Luke, on the other hand, is feeling guilty for actually killing his enemies. He's acquired an aimbot-like precision in his shots, making him feel like a Call of Duty cheater. Surprisingly, Luke levels up even faster than he expected. He observes the situation while his brother Yale destroys the bandits. After a dominating defeat that ended up terribly for the bandits, Yale looks to the injured fellows to see if they're alright. He's impressed by his little brother's amazing shooting skills. Luke has a low opinion of himself, probably because he's a fatty and a coward who can't do much on his own. Yale encourages his brother, while the guards commend the Dragon Knight for saving their lives. Yale and Luke introduce themselves as members of the Vogue royal family. The guards kneel to pay respect. Yale explains that he wants to help out and asks about their leader. Departing her carriage is a beautiful woman, who is also the second princess of the Forel kingdom, Miufa. Miufa is someone Luke doesn't know about, even though he should from his body's previous memories. Luke remembers that this woman also helped guard the carriage and ended up getting wounded and poisoned. Luke is concerned for her health and immediately calls for Miufa's help. Yale trusts him. Miufa opens her wound, which is immediately detected as a poison by Luke's AI assistant. Luke is impressed and uses appraisal magic based on its recommendation. The guards are concerned because the poison is deadly and could potentially end Miufa's life. They also don't have anyone with the correct healing ability to save the princess. Luke learns that 3 more people are experiencing the same effects of the poison. Yale is curious if Luke has some kind of antidote in store. Luke explains that he has 1 healing potion left. The commander of the troops suggests his men drink the potion instead. Luke tells them he's got plenty. His main concern is why the princess doesn't have a potion on her. Luke questions if the value of her men is more important than an antidote. Miufa confirms this and wants to treat them responsibly next time. There's something strange in the air, a feeling of discomfort and skepticism that bothers Luke. Is it a detail he missed, or is it a facade? Luke uses search magic to scope out a large area. The map confirms the presence of an enemy, even though they've cleared everyone. Luke observes the map and realizes that the assassin is aiming for the princess at once. Luke speedily dashes to her location and manages to protect the princess from being harmed at the last moment. Luke commands the guards to escort the princess to safety as their battle has yet to finish. Yale is annoyed, while Luke prepares a shot of 3 arrows, striking down the assassin and his horse from afar. The guards are shocked and impressed by Luke's precision. The assassin is eventually captured by the dragon. While Yale is annoyed Luke is acting buddy-buddy with his pet. Vols, Yale's dragon, loves eating goblins, much to Yale's disgust. Suddenly, one of the guards jumps to kill the assassin with his weapon. The fatty stops him with a Kung Fu Panda tackle. He sits on that man's back, probably crushing that spine too. After capturing both of them, Luke figures that these 2 assassins are different from the bandits they just faced. Miufa thinks otherwise, as they might have been disguised as bandits to assassinate the princess in secret. The reason Luke detained the knight is that he acted like hell. Yale cleverly states that he was trying to kill the assassin to make sure no information escapes out of his mouth. Otherwise, a knight never acts in self-interest. Miyufa politely asks if he's one of them. The man obviously says no, and this gullible woman heartily accepts. She reveals that she's skilled as an inquisitor, who can easily decipher through lies. Basically, the princess boasts the ability to detect lies, but at the same time, she also can't lie as the holder of the skill. Miyufa explains that she's here to investigate the matter of her own business. The assassin bickers like the rat he is. He claims that he was doing it to chase that bag. Akea make loads of money. The princess is surprised because this dude isn't capping. They tried their best, but the assassin was tight-lipped and didn't create any openings. Suddenly, Luke goes on to stab the assassin dead, shocking everyone around him. The princess questions what motivated him to do such a thing. Luke explains that the assassin easily broke through the bracelet and was forming a counterattack. He possessed a weapon coated with instant death poison to strike at the opportune moment, killing the princess. The princess is shocked at how useless the bracelet really is. Luke recommends the captain restrain him to demonstrate his point. After being restrained, Luke explains that in 5 seconds, something will happen. He counts up to 5 and instantly breaks free. The most surprising part about this process is that he was able to break free while he was counting. Luke states that it's as easy as pie to break free with a simple needle. Princess Miyufa is indebted to him for saving her life in 3 different attacks. Yale is impressed because this means Luke could have freed himself at any given moment. Princess Miyufa wonders why Luke is supposed to be wearing the sealing bracelet. Luke is annoyed as hell, but Yale explains that he's just an undisciplined child who got his dumbass scolded by his father. Miyufa laughs and thinks that Luke doesn't even have his own father's trust in him. Luke gets irritated when the system prompts him to clear his friend list. Miyufa offers to become Luke's friend, which Luke accepts in kind, making her very happy. The princess requests Yale to stay with them because she's going to return to the Duchy off Forest to find her uncle. Yale accepts while Luke tends to the guards. It's safe to say they're not a fan of the fatty, who's increasing his chances of getting laid with their beloved princess. Luke receives their death glare and requests his brother's aid. Yale steps in with an equal ferocity of his own. Miyufa doesn't know what they're talking about and even insults her men for acting dumb. The moment these idiots realize they're dealing with members of royalty, they immediately pay Luke his respect. Luke knows they're still messing around, but he's more interested in another affair. Using her unique powers of inquisition, the princess is able to tell that her guards are being untruthful in their faces. The guards face utter shame, as Luke doesn't even know about Emilia. Luke thinks it's nothing big, as he's supposed to marry the Duke's daughter. The problem is that Luke's reputation as the Orc Prince is being spread around the entirety of their nation. This is something not even he predicted. Yale butts in and shouts at them for behaving rudely. Miyufa explains that they're talking about the Orc Prince, but she didn't know it was Luke they were talking about. After an hour of getting roasted by the whole gang, Luke and the others accompany a carriage with Miyufa's assistant, Erica. As for Emilia, she's revealed to be Miyufa's cousin. Luke's fiancée has androphobia and doesn't like people. She's basically an introvert pro max. Luke is concerned about how someone like that could ever be engaged with a stranger like him. The guards are humming the songs of Luke's disgrace. They're out here dissing him like crazy in front of the chicks. Luke is irritated at the whole thing and wonders if Miyufa shares his opinion on the marriage. Miyufa's been born with terrible eyesight and only boasts a special skill, so her opinion of herself is pretty low. Luke thinks it's going to be fine and even praises her for her beauty. Miyufa's ability becomes her downfall in this situation because she detects it's a natural compliment. They've almost arrived at the estate and Luke's not having it already. He feels bad as his brother is soon to leave. At the Duke Forest estate, the head of the Forest family welcomes them in kind. Jael welcomes them properly, along with all of his staff. Anna comes strong as the second daughter of the family. Rara, the little one, is shy and barely introduces herself. The eldest daughter, Emilia, who is Luke's fiancée, isn't available as she's busy with exams at the academy. Jael also mentions his wife, who is suffering from a contagious disease. Eel returns the introduction in kind, but the moment Luke introduces himself, he suffers from Anna's harsh words. No one is letting this man off the hook today. Jael apologizes to his dumbass daughter for making them look bad. Jael requests both Yale and Miyufa to witness the examination and make a report on the bandits. Yale and Miyufa accept the request, while Anna is instructed to stay with Luke. She's obviously hating her life, but Luke thinks that Jael is testing the boy's patience with his daughters. Jael doesn't want a haughty or scumbag boy to take his daughter's hand in marriage, which is why he's cautious. Luke realizes that his reputation is sinking down the drain. Miyufa prepares them tea while Anna channels her anger at him. Luke made a bunch of origami wyverns to play around. Anna thinks he's being silly. Luke commands the dragons to fly with his magic, so they flap their wings and impress Rara. Rara wants to make some as well, and gets along really well with Luke. The maid, Iris, is instructed to take Luke to the restroom. They climb a bunch of stairs and, after doing his business, use a cleaning spell to finish up. Luke's AI tells him that the shit he cleans is sent to another dimension, just like his boundless inventory. Iris sees him, while Luke hears painful coughing coming from nearby. Emilia's mother suffers from a disease called tuberculosis. Luke boldly tries to enter her room, but Iris advises him to stop, afraid for the boy's own health. When Luke enters the room, Emilia's mother, who looks like an absolute baddie, questions who he is. Many years into the past, Luke was busy avoiding his classes. During that time, Luke escaped to find an elderly woman, hoping to become her disciple. Back in the present moment, Luke casts an air shield to protect himself. He introduces himself properly and surprises Lady Sasha. She's a coughing mess and recommends that he leave the room a mess. Her extreme condition is a cause for concern. Luke's AI explains that people are unaware of the concept of germs, which is why magic fails to heal such diseases. Luke approaches Sasha and uses a bunch of spells to help Sasha's condition. Fairy tells him that he has alleviated some of Sasha's symptoms and will eventually help her get cured after 10 days. Sasha genuinely feels recovered in some regard and commends Luke's ability. Fairy is surprised. Sasha is unaware of the boy's reputation. Iris calls into question Luke's magic ability, questioning why the water recovery magic was used, and for what reason. Too many questions are Luke's biggest weakness, but it's explained Iris is just a curious blowhard who wants to be a healer someday. Jael barges in the room, irritated to the brim that this man entered his wife's room even when she had a terrible disease. Sasha politely tells her husband that he used recovery magic to help her condition. Jael is stumped, while Yale asks if it's really possible for the boy to fully cure Sasha. Luke confirms that it would require 10 days worth of treatment. Yale is starting to realize just how much of an idiot their father is for sending Luke away. Jael is still suspecting the boy's ability to cure Sasha's condition. On the topic of monster summoning in the academy, Yale explains that they all formed a contract with a beast during the academy. Luke wonders if it's possible for him to make a contract later, but there's a problem, as the summoning circle only opens once per year. Luke would be unable to form a contract this way. Jael asks if it's recommended to stop Sasha's treatment and focus on the summoning ceremony. Luke tells him that it should be fine. Sasha finds herself starved for food after not eating anything for some time. Jael thinks they should share a feast before proceeding ahead. He's happy to put up a magic shield so Sasha can join as well. Sasha is happy as she wants to meet her daughters too. Luke recommends foods that are easy to digest. He offers stepping into the kitchen and freestyling a fire meal. Jael is glad to let him do what he wants. Luke's out here scoring with both of his in-laws. After a while, Luke enters the kitchen where he sees a bunch of ingredients. Luke prepares himself and even impresses the chefs with his mechanical ability. He wound up an excellent demi-glazed steak as well as a soup and risotto combination. Sasha finally gets to see Anna and Rara. They're happy their mother is now okay. Miyufa is interested in trying out Luke's food. Just about all of them, even Anna, find Luke's food delicious. Jael wonders if this is the taste of high-tier royal cuisine, but Yale butts in, stating that his brother only silently ate his food himself. Miyufa boldly calls him fat, crushing the poor guy's spirit. After the meal, Sasha is feeling much better. Luke tells her that his magic ability won't cure her all at once, but he will make sure to cure her eventually. What's amazing is that Miyufa testifies that Luke is telling the truth. Jael and the others are utterly stumped, as this is just the conviction of Luke. Rara happily plays the piano for Luke, soothing him with a calming melody. Luke enjoys her playing, and even decides to play for her. He sings and makes Rara happy, giving everyone a good time. Luke is enjoying playing the piano, and just wants to keep on playing it. The dude straight up whips out the big guns with his Asian piano skills. Luke's dedication makes Miyufa crush on him, while Rara has become Luke's biggest fan. Yale, who is supposed to be Luke's brother, reacts the same way as the others. Sasha requests Luke to treat the servants, who end up contracting the same disease as her. Jael doesn't recommend doing that, and while Luke initially doesn't get the idea, Fairy explains that servants aren't that important in the noble's eyes, and would stain a family's reputation for taking up for them. Luke is frustrated and wants to examine everyone in the house. Luke is getting along well with Sasha, while Miyufa is looking at him in confusion for the first time. Yale learns that Luke possesses a scanning ability, allowing him to confirm if someone is sick or not. After the events that unfolded today, Yale even admits that his younger brother is much more capable than him. Luke focuses on the matter at hand and examines Rara as his first. Using his appraisal ability, Luke happily announces that Rara is safe. After checking everyone, the only person who falls in line of being infected is the Duke himself. Thankfully, he's in good shape and has good resistance to the infection, so he's not in the worst condition. Luke wants to see the servants who are taking care of Sasha. He finds the trio and uses his healing magic to help them cure for a little while. The servants thank their so-called doctor, while Yale is indebted to Luke's service to his family throughout the day. Yale and Luke take a bath to relax, but Yale leaves early because he's got a report to write. Rara stupidly barges into his bath, but Rara's maid apologizes to Luke for her stubbornness. Rara is sad that she can't bathe with Luke, but Luke doesn't mind her joining in. Luke courts her like an older brother, humming and singing her songs to make Rara happy. After their bath, Rara's maid is happy that Luke looks after her. She tells him to meet the Duke. The Duke apologizes for Rara's inconvenience, but Yale butts in again and exposes Luke's dumbass for bathing with his sister at home. Yale wants to discuss his admission to the academy. Luke is told that the best of the best talents have already entered his academy. Luke claims that he's uninterested in an attendant, but Yale is unconvinced of letting him roam free on his own. Yale even sides with the Duke against his brother because his reputation is terrible. Iris interrupts their conversation and begs to be made an attendant of Luke. Yale asks a sensitive question that she didn't expect. Yale emphasizes that if Iris accompanies Luke, then she will be seen as a concubine. Iris properly introduces herself and feels flustered. All she wants is to learn Luke's knowledge of a healer because of her own interest. Luke thinks she's going to be a pain in the ass to deal with. That night, Luke is having trouble sleeping. Rara quietly enters his room, and because she feels lonely, she slides into his bed. The following day, Mifa explains that she's heading to the capital. After they leave for the training grounds, Yale is unimpressed by his brother's subpar ability in combat. As for the matter of keeping an attendant, Iris is offended because the Orc Prince decided to get a new attendant instead of picking her. He doesn't trust her and thinks she's only doing it for her own sake. Iris claims that she's attended the academy for 3 years as an attendant. She's amazing in both beauty and grade and wants to be chosen as an attendant. Luke's AI fairy even goes as far as to say that this girl is willing to do anything, even later becoming abandoned by Luke if it comes to it. Iris is doing all of this for her father's sake and bears no suspicious intentions. Luke, after listening to his AI, requests Yale to make Iris his attendant. Yale explains that his brother, who is the true king of the kingdom, decided for Emilia to get married, but he had no idea it would be with the Orc Prince. Yale doesn't sense any form of malice from Luke, as Rara possesses a unique ability to know people's true nature. Yale reminds Luke that his role is to create an heir for the family in the future, as his brother really wants that. Luke the horrors of the realization that he's supposed to have 10 children in this family. In fact, Yale doesn't mind if Rara and Anna become his wives in the future. Iris is given permission to become Luke's attendant. Iris doesn't mind marrying someone like Luke instead of a total stranger. The following day, Luke requests his brother Yale to take him to the capital. Yale entrusts Luke's ability to handle Emilia, especially with her condition. The summoning ceremony is supposed to conclude on Saturday, allowing Luke to officially enter the academy with no problems. Luke's objective is to cure Sasha, but certainly not to become a student of the family. He really doesn't want to have such problems, and hopes to change his life in the 3 years he's going to spend at the academy. Arriving in the capital at last, Luke asks what his brother is to do now that he's finished his mission. Yale explains that he'll have a meeting with the king, and then return to his country. Luke requests Yale to tell Lulu and Chiruru about his apologetic goodbye. Yale wonders if he's still okay after the situation with his previous fiancée. Yale, being a top-tier brother, doesn't want Luke to be sad. Luke tells him that Lulu is in the process of searching for a new partner. Yale secretly confesses his crush on Aunt Karina as he wants to make her his fiancée. Luke is stopped from sharing such feelings. Karina is the youngest sister of his father, and although she's a competent and mature woman, Yale just can't help but be enamored by her. Luke leaves with Iris to head for the capital. Iris explains they'll have to buy necessary items for survival. Finally arriving on the 4th floor, Iris is glad they have to climb a lot of stairs, since it's good for the fatty to lose weight. Luke is surprised to get a luxurious apartment. He even offers Iris a rest after their tiresome journey. Luke plays around with the system, and notes that he is capable of using all of the attributes because of the goddess blessing. Fairy explains it is also due to him being from another world. Luke is wondering how to spend his precious points. Fairy recommends boosting his physical strengthening skills. She recommends evolving her swordsman skill as well, so that he doesn't face a lot of trouble at the academy. Iris prepares him a meal at night, delighting Luke with her cooking. Iris explains that attendants tend to eat only after their master. Luke tells her that he's not a fan of that idea, and recommends she eat at once. Iris sits across from him and immediately speaks of Amelia. Luke is a little annoyed that he's the one who has to do so much just to meet Amelia. He's unsurprised. She avoided meeting because of her condition. Luke tells her that he's interested in visiting the temple. Even though Iris wants to tag along, Luke denies her. Iris uncomfortably explains that Duke Jail instructed her to watch him. Luke is irritated that it's come to this. Regarding Luke's daily life, he wants 3 requests to ensure the life ahead. Luke doesn't want anything to do with bread or rice. He's interested in bathing, as well as exercising in the morning and evening. A taxing session for Luke, but Iris is concerned with what he wants to eat, because she's to handle all of that. Iris recommends slowing down his exercise regimen at the beginning. The bigger problem is that Fatty can't level up if Iris is imposing restrictions upon him. Iris offers her 5 requests, which include teaching her certain things and informing her before leaving. After dinner, Luke is enjoying a bath when Fairy explains that regular baths are considered unusual in the world. In fact, the bathtub alone is a luxurious item. Finishing up, Luke tells Iris to take a bath herself. While she's doing her business, Fairy warns Luke not to act like a damn pervert, since it's one of Luke's original problems. Fairy sheds light on Iris' familial situation. Iris' family was made in charge of a town up to the count level. However, the development of the town has constricted their budget, which is why their selfish father is sending his daughters to get married. Iris concludes her bath and embarrassingly questions why he didn't peek. She's facing some real insecurities because my man dodged her like the damn plague. Luke asks if Iris is romantically interested, as he wouldn't do otherwise. Luke tells her that even from back then, he peeked at others to exact his revenge. Iris even admits that she's turned down many men before. Luke explains that he's not really going to do anything unless Iris wants him to. Iris feels shoddy and claims that she's incapable of sleeping with Luke for the time being. Since she's confessed her feelings for him, the girl wants this dude to just lay his hands on her. The next morning, Iris greets him good morning and prepares him for their morning walk. Luke is shocked to learn from his AI that Iris woke up so early that he could prepare everything. Sensing her discomfort, Luke refuses to sleep again. Luke recommends they go to the temple after having breakfast. First, they visit the morning market. The smell of good food entices the orc prince, but his trusty assistant reminds him that he's supposed to be on a diet. Fairy even remarks that Iris should bully him with food instead of giving him a free hand. Iris allows him to eat out for today. Having arrived at the temple, the nun welcomes them. Luke claims that he wants to change his first job and acquire a second. She tells him that places of worship are unavailable for reservations. Donations are also necessary to change jobs. Unfortunately, Luke is raining down money because he's a millionaire playboy. He donates a big chunk and emphasizes the importance of the job change. The nun tells Pope Mars about the situation. Fairy explains that each country has its own pope and saint, chosen by the goddess. Mars spots Iris and asks for Luke's family. Luke introduces himself as a prince of the Vol Kingdom. Mars requires the saint to know. Saint Natasha greets Luke. She already knows about him from Saint Arya of the Vol Kingdom. Luke tells her to deliver a message for his sake. The message should state that he's been sent to this country. Back in the Vol Kingdom, Luke had a bunch of interactions with Arya as he sold potions and delivered half the sales to Arya's orphanage. Luke makes an unusual request to have the entire place as his own for worship. Finally, it's time for him to interact with the measly goddess who trapped him in this world. Luke is effectively annoyed, and the goddess acknowledges that most of the things were unexpected and unplanned. The goddess even shares that Luke's sister in his original life, as well as the girl he saved, have both become stars on social media. The commercial of the flying squirrel pajama became such a big hit that their business is exploding. Luke is glad to hear such good news. As for poor Luke, not only is he fat, and he has to suffer through a diet, but he's also an adopted son-in-law. And with all of these things, he's expected to defeat the evil god. The goddess understands his anger and claims that she's willing to accept his requests. Luke states that he wants to be able to shop online. However, this kind of ability is too much for even the goddess to grant. She even tells Luke that if it was that easy, she wouldn't require his help. Instead, the goddess offers a solution to give him information about his world through his assistant. The AI assistant is annoyed that she's being called Navi by the cruel goddess. Luke accepts her new name. The goddess even intends to hold a workshop in Luke's inventory. That workshop will be divided into multiple different sections for cooking. She reminds Luke the job of acquiring materials is his own. All she wants is for Luke to defeat the evil god for her. Luke accepts his job and leaves the rest to his AI. He's thrilled to receive his new function. More importantly, Luke doesn't want Iris to go around without knowing. Nereid startles Iris as she communicates in her head. Iris is scared at first, but Luke eventually explains that she's the goddess. Nereid requests Iris to side with Luke and insists that she doesn't report such matters to the Duke. Nereid can't inform Iris about Luke's powers, but she also wants Iris to stop reporting their affairs to the Duke. Luke tells her that it doesn't imply she has to stop reporting fully. Luke requires his levels to increase so that he can take risks in dangerous hunts. The Duke will become an obstacle to his path since he wants his safety. Although Luke can't tell her everything, he's willing to explain how recovery magic works if she accepts. Iris immediately becomes the most devoted person in the church because she's a glutton for learning new healing skills. Iris confirms that she will no longer report important matters to the Duke. Nereid thanks the assistant and blesses her with the divine protection of water, meaning she could become an excellent healer if she advances her skills. Iris happily thanks the goddess. Their next stop is at the bean shop. Luke is here to stock his inventory to the brim because of his workshop. Iris tries to control his expenses, although she's also trying to help fulfill the goddess's wish by siding with Luke. Luke explains that he boasts the ability to stop time inside of his inventory, shocking her greatly. Now that she understands his reason for buying the beans, Luke is interested in stocking with tons of items, since they will never perish or get spoiled. A day before Miyufa returned to the capital, Luke was in her mind. He had done so many things for her and even called her beautiful. Miyufa sleeps with this man's picture right next to her, cause she's down bad for him. Erika wonders if the princess really fell in love with Miyufa. Miyufa feels incredibly distressed when she receives a call in her bedroom. The scene switches to Luke and Iris, who are about to take on their first day of school together. Iris asks if Luke is worried about the school. She knows the struggles that come with being a new student. There's also the fact that Iris is his attendant, so he's getting much more attention than he should. Luke's face doesn't signal any signs of being nervous. Amelia is the real concern, as she doesn't attend any tea parties and hates interacting with people. In the faculty room, Eric, their homeroom teacher, greets his students. He explains a few rules necessary to maintain order in their class. Luke and Iris easily understand. Then, they head to the classroom. Eric tells Luke to introduce himself. This fat pig stupidly shouts himself as the rumored orc prince of the kingdom. He made up for the worst introduction mankind has ever seen. Luke reintroduces himself and demands to know about Amelia. But instead of complying with his request, the other students just make fun of him and wonder about his intentions with Amelia in the first place. Luke wonders if Amelia wants to keep the matter a secret. Eric quiets them down, but Luke is still interested in knowing Amelia's identity, as he has yet to even see her. Eric points to the ordinary-looking girl at the back. Luke tries talking to her, but she doesn't even look at him. She's also wearing a cognitive inhibitor tool around her neck, masking her true appearance from others. The headmaster makes a sudden appearance and explains that 2 more students will be joining their class. To absolutely no one's surprise, the 2 students are Erika and the flustered Princess Miyufa. Luke is shocked, as this isn't even supposed to happen. Luke receives a call from the Duke, who apologizes and explains that his brother wanted to inform him about his plans. Luke tells him that Miyufa and Erika are standing in front of him, so he already knows what this is about. Their homeroom teacher, Eric, is most confused and requires an explanation. The headmaster explains that they were contacted by the king for the transfer of these 2 girls in the same class as Luke. The headmaster has never had such a case happen before and thinks there must be a reason for this. Miyufa, the embarrassed, love-struck princess, reveals to the class that Luke called her beautiful. Miyufa demands he say it again. When Luke does say it, Miyufa gets a jolt of happiness, even confirming that it wasn't a lie. She openly confesses her feelings to Luke with the thoughts of marriage. Keep in mind that all of this happens in front of the class. Luke is either getting minus 10,000 aura points from this, or he's going down as the legendary Rizzler of his class. Luke questions if Miyufa is doing this for the king. However, the princess confesses that her feelings for Luke are genuine, despite being with each other for half a day. Luke is thinking that this situation is a football field of red flags. He emphasizes his engagement with Emilia, which doesn't make sense, since she doesn't really like him at all. Instead, Miyufa has genuine affection for him. Miyufa reached out to her father in a selfish manner. She begged to be transferred to the school and get married to Luke. Miyufa declared she would never want to marry anyone else if he declined. Her father accepted the offer at once, leading to Miyufa ending in the school. Luke is stumped and thinks that Duke Jail wouldn't appreciate what she did. There's also the matter that he's the orc prince in the eyes of many. Miyufa doesn't care about his appearance and merely wants to hop on that orc dick, I guess. Miyufa asks if she's inferior in Luke's eyes. Luke explains that he'll accept the offer as long as they start dating before marriage. The class throws an uproar as Luke has finally accepted her proposal. They make all sorts of funny comparisons like Beauty and the Orc and Pearl before Swine. Poor Luke and his reputation. Luke apologizes to the headmaster for discussing these topics in front of class. They make a request to leave early, and the headmaster allows them. Iris jumps in and explains that she is to be accompanied as well. They later sit to have a conversation together. Miyufa is the happiest girl in the world for having Luke accept her. Luke is happy and compliments her greatly. Miyufa's constant happy expressions are fine, until Miyufa realizes that Iris has been sleeping with Luke for 2 days. Luke explains that they've yet to do anything, like exploring the birds and the bees. Erika exposes Miyufa, stating that she is worried Luke might end up falling in love with Iris or Emilia's true face. She didn't waste much time and immediately got to work. Despite Erika's warnings, Miyufa still selfishly moved ahead. Luke thinks it would be much better if he married Miyufa instead of Emilia, since their feelings are reciprocated. However, Duke Jail is a little annoyed that Luke is choosing his brother's daughter instead of his own. They decide to come to a compromise and award Luke with the title of Marquis after his graduation. However, the condition is for Miyufa to become his wife, while Emilia becomes Luke's concubine. After all, Emilia being alone is another problem. Jail wants his daughter to be happy and eventually find a man for her to marry. Emilia's condition is peculiar because of her disorders. Jail thinks it's going to be difficult for him to help Emilia. He just wants Emilia to be by Luke's side. Luke is interested in looking for a cause for the disorder. He accepts marrying Emilia after graduation, and if they end up having a child, Luke doesn't mind if Duke Jail's family raises him as their heir. Luke ends the call, while Miyufa questions if he's fine with marrying a girl he doesn't even love. Emilia is forced to join the discussion by her attendant. It's clear that she will suffer if she doesn't change. Luke wants to take care of her fear of men for the time being. He's going to improve her mental health with his new powers. Luke confirms that, while he doesn't have feelings for Emilia, he considers it bothersome to be ignored. Emilia apologizes, while Luke offers a solution by forming an engagement with her. He's even fine with breaking off the engagement when she finds someone she loves. Emilia thanks him. With that settled, Luke recommends adding each other as friends. Miyufa, Erika, and Iris are all swooning for this man. Miyufa tells Luke that the king is anticipating a meeting with him at the castle. There's also the matter that Luke has to tend to Sasha's condition first. Luke plans to visit the castle soon. With the conclusion of the first period of class, Eric states that Luke, Miyufa, and Emilia, as well as all 3 of their attendants, will be in the same team. One boy vouches for Emilia to stay in his group, but he's out here getting outclassed. Luke learns that he's not a bad person. Their teacher explains that this is an order by the king and the headmaster, so it would be impossible to contest against. Luke says Navi is prepared to search traces of malicious activity of each student in the background. The Yggdrasil system functions like a giant database of living beings. Navi has the ability to access and tamper with such logs. Thankfully, everyone in his class is good to go. They don't boast any malicious intent. Eric explains that the summoning ritual is held for 3 days each year. There are 4 locations. The first day will have the first-year students. The ceremony will be open to the public. Eric tells them a bunch of tips to look out for. The first is to remember that a magic beast feeds off their master's mana. There are many other rules, but most importantly, the first-year students are only to make a contract with low-ranking magic beasts. Eric emphasizes the importance of being careful with contracts. The students are advised to gather on the sports grounds soon. Luke wants to enjoy some delicious food at the cafeteria, but Iris thinks it's going to be troublesome if the people make a scene out of it. Luke asks what Emilia does for her meals. Emilia's assistant explains that she's the one who prepares her meals for her. Miyufa wants to join Luke, who then offers to invite Emilia. Emilia wonders if it would make things easier for her assistant. Natalie guarantees that it will. Emilia accepts on behalf of her assistant, so they decide to eat in Luke's room. The girls get together to make lunch. Luke questions just how much it would cost to make this scene come to life in Japan. Miyufa apologizes to both Emilia and Luke. Luke tells her it's alright. Even Emilia states that she's happy she's joining along, since it would be difficult for her to sit with Luke. Emilia wonders if Luke is curious about her real face. Luke states that he's aware of Emilia's concerns. Luke doesn't mind, while Emilia learns that her knights were specifically very rude to the Orc Prince. Emilia explains her saddening story. She was never loved, and she continues to hide her true identity for many years. Luke doesn't mind, and assures her nothing wrong will happen. Later at the practical magic lesson, the fatty is dying as they score 10 laps around the school ground. Luke's getting his dumbass exhausted. The teacher even scolds him for cheating and using magic to float around a little bit. Luke hates his current life. Navi explains that with the increase in strength, he could perform spectacular feats. This dude is out here losing to Miyufa, who can't even see properly. Luke's getting trash-talked all over by the students. He even stumbles and falls to his face, humiliating himself to greater lengths. Later, Luke contemplates joining a night school for his misery. During class, Eric questions Luke's proficiency level. Luke states that he's used to hiding his skill in his country. Eric wants Luke to help teach his teammates proficiency in magic, as they're falling behind. Miyufa's disability makes it difficult to learn magic. Luke confirms and wants to help teach Miyufa magic. As for Iris, she's the one most eager to get caught. Iris blurts out her levels, and Luke has to shut her down. Luke explains that the only way to increase proficiency level is if one trains it. Luke adds that opposing elements don't go well with each other. He forms a composite magic spell without even using incantations, impressing his peers. Miyufa is eager to learn how to increase the ability to manipulate magic. Luke's most general advice is to practice it constantly. He demonstrates this by using an illumination spell. Luke states that magic varies depending on magic power. Iris beams in happiness after learning the secrets of the master himself. After class, they share a meal together. The girls are happy, anticipating what will happen at the ceremony. But someone special has made a sudden appearance. The king and the queen of the kingdom wanted to come see Luke. Zeno introduces himself as Miyufa's father and thanks Luke for being his father. Luke receives his gratitude in kind, while Zeno explains that he wants to discuss Luke's marriage with Miyufa in detail. Zeno recommends Iris leave, but Luke insists that she stay. Zeno thought that it would be best for Luke's sake, but he's glad that Luke doesn't have any problems with her. Zeno learns that Luke is very happy to be dating his daughter Miyufa. The king tells Luke the horrors of her powers as they frighten even her siblings. Luke understands the true nature of human beings who constantly lie. Zeno knows that the Orc Prince is a good guy on the inside, despite his rumors. Zeno expresses his pool of knowledge regarding Luke's father. He even knows about the recovery potions that Luke kept in store. Luke is feeling upset that his father sold him off, despite knowing his talents. Zeno knows that Luke was helping the kingdom evolve with the recovery potions, and even sporting the orphanage. While his father may have sent him away, Zeno wants to support Luke if he helps the nation. Zeno doesn't mind if they share children later on. It's a decision he's left up to Miyufa, who gets flustered just hearing such a remark. Miyufa promised him to produce a good number of children to get engaged with Luke. Zeno doesn't mind anything, as long as Luke continues to support the country to the best of his abilities. Luke shares that he, too, wants to act in the best interest of the country. Apart from that, Luke immediately spots a problem with the king's condition. He claims that he's been affected by a fever. Using his healing magic, Luke heals him with little regard. Luke learns that his little sister Chihiru's maid was secretly a spy all along. Miyufa doesn't want this fatty to peek at other girls while they're changing. She even offers herself as a compromise instead. Obviously, Luke can't ignore those curves and believes he'll be satisfied. After their wonderful bath, Luke requests a massage. Iris is pumped to apply her skills. She also notes that Luke's original master is the great sage Edward, a surprising secret that has yet to be discovered by many. Luke teaches her how to perform treatment magic. He looks at her fatigued calf and explains how to apply aqua heal recovery methods. Initially it hurts, but then Iris feels a sense of relief. With little to no time, Iris' body is healed fully. Next up is Luke's turn to reach the same treatment. Iris faces difficulty nurturing him. She tried many times but failed. Luke motivates her, stating that it's good to practice mana control. Iris is studious in her resolve and recommends doing muscle training. She's conjured up a weight loss plan specifically for this fatty. Luke, being the lazy slouch, can't even muster to do a single setup. Iris holds his legs in place so that he can do his exercise. The next morning, Luke is greeted by Miyufa, who's already acting like his wife. Miyufa wants to join in their physical training sessions. Iris is glad and recommends they go for a walk while she prepares breakfast. Luke and Miyufa along with Erika take a walk. Luke wonders what kind of beast Miyufa is looking forward to. She just wants a pet she can play around and sleep with. Finally, the day of the summoning ceremony is here. The headmaster tells the students to pour their magic power into the jewel to imitate the summoning. To demonstrate his powers, the headmaster ends up summoning an amazing wyvern. The headmaster leaves the rest to the vice principal, because this man is ready to take off to the skies. Even the king is here for an inspection, so the AI Navi recommends Luke not to mess up. Iris ended up summoning a red slime, while Natalie got a stamp boar. Erika found herself a silver wolf, and finally, Emilia got a lucky rabbit. Now that they're finished, it's time for Miyufa to place her hand on the jewel. She pours her magic and manifests a cute magical beast that is completely unique. After an inspection, the people are shocked that Miyufa summoned a holy beast. Miyufa wants Luke to name the creature in her stead. They settle for Spinel as the cute little furball's name. In all of history, only 3 holy beasts have ever been summoned. It's a monumental feat for Miyufa to have summoned such a creature. Lastly, Luke is the only person left to summon a creature. He pours magic, but nothing pops outside. What ends up pouring outside is a pixie, which happens to be Navi's manifested form. She's no longer just a voice in his head. Luke is annoyed she came out, but something is different. It's as if there is another beast about to be summoned. A gigantic dragon manifests out of the summoning circle, shocking the teachers as there shouldn't be a case of 2 summonings. The dragon takes a likening to Luke, who uses his cleaning magic to take care of the mess. This is the same beast Diana, the dragon who helped save Luke's life. The goddess helped her reincarnate in a different body, returning the beast to her master. Zeno is utterly shocked that Luke manifested such a creature. The dragon belongs to a legendary ancient species, making this feat even more magnanimous. Suddenly, another giant beast emerges out of the summoning circle. Divine beast Fenrir easily swats off the legendary dragon. Fenrir has just given birth to her child, a newborn that is too young for her care. That's why she wants Luke to help nurture the beast for a while. Luke explains that he's already made a contract with the other monsters. Zeno steps up and recommends making himself the contractor of her child. However, Fenrir calls the king a joke in comparison to Luke's powers. Luke is required to take care of Fenrir's offspring. Navi explains that Luke's soul is of supreme quality because it belongs to the higher world. This helps him create contracts with even divine beasts, which should normally be impossible. Fenrir demands the king to order Luke to accept the request, or else she will destroy the country. Luke jumps in to accept the contract, taking the cute creature in his arms. Having done her job, Fenrir acts like a single mother, who's off to her business after throwing away her child. With 3 beasts summoned, Luke stole everyone's attention and made history. Diana wakes up concerned for her master's health. She's capable of using telepathic communication, surprising Luke. Even Navi is capable of using telepathic speech, as Luke would be able to access 1400 years of knowledge, thanks to the dragon's experience. Diana shares a rich history as an ancient dragon. The ancient dragons left behind magic stones, which greatly improved the area they inhabited. Luke learns many things about his dragon from Navi. He tells Diana that what she faced was a divine beast, which is how she got one-shotted so easily. Luke wants Navi to help create a saddle for Diana so that he can ride her. Before he leaves with Diana, the king wants to speak with him. Zeno wants to discuss their future plans. He acts like a fanboy of the dragon and wants to ride the dragon. Long story short, Luke gives him a ride for free. Diana asks about their destination. Luke guides her, and Diana impressively glides with her wind-cutting speed. Luke commands Diana to defeat the water buffaloes without damaging their bodies. Diana takes up the job without feeling stressed. King Zeno objects to such a dangerous idea, but Luke states that he's already done it once before. They go for a nosedive to catch the buffaloes. Diana easily defeats them. Luke enjoys hunting, while Diana is ready for round 2. Having acquired the material for his saddle, Luke and King Zeno share a table with each other. Miyufa butts in and asks what it would mean now that Luke has summoned a dragon. Luke explains that his only future option before was to become a dragon knight. Zeno asks if it's something he dislikes. Luke ended up changing his job from hero to magic swordsman. Luke currently wants to become a magic knight. Even though Zeno wanted the opposite for him, he's ready to respect Luke's desires. Luke questions the matter he wants to discuss. Zeno asks if Luke is interested in returning to his country because his father wants him back. Luke is frustrated because his father only wants him back because of what he did at the summoning ceremony. Luke thinks about it for a moment and declares that he shares no interest in returning. Zeno is the most delighted, while Kamiya, Zeno's first wife, recommends holding an engagement reception with Miyufa. Miyufa is happy and wants things to get going immediately, but Luke's face expresses discontent. Miyufa didn't like noble marriages at first, but she was ready to ignore her feelings for Luke's sake. King Zeno wonders what would happen if King Julius forcibly drove Luke back. Luke decides to answer his call. Julius is angry and shouts at King Zeno. Luke tells his father to tone down. King Julius is shocked that he was able to summon a divine beast and wants him to return. Luke tells his father that he bears no intention of returning. Though it may displease his father, Luke tells him that he got involved with the princess even before the summoning ceremony. He blames his father for acting only on behalf of his personal interests. Luke's mother jumps in to speak to him. She's been whining throughout for the boy's return. The stupid king sent off his son without even speaking to Luke's mother. Luke explains that he's alright and even tells them about Miyufa's abilities. Miyufa butts in to interrupt their conversation. She states that she's dating Luke. Amelia asks for her opinion. Miyufa adds that Luke is a kind gentleman who saved her life. She's indebted to him and even confesses her love. Amelia isn't pleased, but is forced to acknowledge her love. Amelia acts on Luke's side, while Luke tells them he'll return home during his summer break to fix the situation with Lulu. Amelia gets sad that the boy has abandoned her parents. Luke explains that he's comfortable in his current living environment. He even tells his father to stop bothering King Zeno for his personal affairs. Luke warns them that he'll use the ancient dragon to incinerate his father's dumb ass if it comes to it.